In December 1872, the merchant ship Mary Celeste was found drifting in the Atlantic Ocean. Her sails were set, her cargo untouched, and the crew's belongings remained neatly in place. Yet not a single soul was aboard. No signs of struggle, no evidence of disaster, only silence on the open sea. The mystery of what happened to the crew has haunted history as one of the greatest maritime enigmas ever recorded. The Mary Celeste set sail from New York Harbor on November 7, 1872. Commanded by Captain Benjamin Briggs, an experienced and respected sailor, the ship carried a cargo of industrial alcohol bound for Genoa, Italy. On board were Briggs's wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and a crew of 7. By all accounts, the voyage began without incident. The ship was seaworthy, well supplied, and guided by a captain known for his discipline and care. Weeks later, on December 5, the British brig Dei Gratia spotted a vessel adrift about 400 miles east of the Azores. At first it seemed an ordinary sighting on the open Atlantic, but as the crew approached, they noticed something strange. The ship sailed erratically, its course unsteady, as though no one were at the helm. When they boarded, they discovered it was the Mary Celeste. The scene they encountered baffled even seasoned sailors. The cargo hold was full and secure, the lifeboat was missing, and the ship showed no signs of battle or severe weather damage. The galley still contained food, the captain's cabin was in order, and the crew's possessions remained untouched. It was as if the people had simply vanished into thin air. The Mary Celeste was seaworthy, her sails partially set, her supplies intact. The logbook recorded routine entries up until late November, giving no hint of disaster. With no evidence of piracy, mutiny, or natural catastrophe, the fate of her passengers and crew became one of the most enduring maritime mysteries of all time. The discovery of the Mary Celeste sent shockwaves through the maritime world. Here was a vessel perfectly capable of sailing, yet without her crew. The lifeboat's absence suggested they had abandoned ship. But why would experienced sailors, led by a cautious captain, leave a seaworthy vessel in the middle of the Atlantic? Speculation spread quickly. Some suggested piracy, but the cargo was untouched and valuables remained on board, making robbery unlikely. Others whispered of mutiny, yet no evidence of violence was found. The captain's logbook showed no signs of unrest or disobedience among the crew. Attention turned to the ship itself. A deep inspection revealed a few curious details. The sounding rod, used to measure water levels in the hold, lay out of place, and the pumps were disassembled, suggesting that the crew may have believed the ship was taking on water, but the hull was dry, and there was no sign of imminent sinking. Was it possible that Captain Briggs misjudged the danger and ordered everyone into the lifeboat, only for tragedy to strike? Some theories grew darker, hinting at foul play between the crew and their captain. But Briggs was known as a fair and religious man, respected by those who sailed under him. Others wondered about storms, waterspouts, or even underwater earthquakes driving the crew to panic. None of these explanations fully accounted for the eerie state of the vessel, sailing steady with everything intact except its people. The unanswered questions left room for wilder ideas, and soon the mystery of the Mary Celeste drifted beyond the realm of ordinary explanations into legend. As the investigation unfolded, the mystery of the Mary Celeste deepened. The ship was sailed to Gibraltar, where a formal inquiry sought to uncover what had happened. Inspectors pored over every detail of the vessel, examining her cargo, structure, and logbooks. Yet no decisive answers emerged. The cargo of industrial alcohol became a central focus. Some suggested that leaking fumes might have filled the hold, frightening the crew into believing an explosion was imminent. If so, Captain Briggs may have ordered everyone into the lifeboat until the danger passed. But if this were the case, why had they not returned once it became clear the ship was unharmed? The missing lifeboat implied they had drifted away, swallowed by the sea. The inquiry also uncovered curious marks on the ship's bow, which some speculated could be from a collision or attempted sabotage. Others dismissed them as normal wear. A sword found on board bore stains thought to be blood, though later analysis revealed it was likely rust. The court in Gibraltar suspected foul play, even piracy, but no charges were ever proven. The captain and crew of the Dei Gratia, who had salvaged the ship, were cleared of wrongdoing, though whispers of conspiracy lingered. Meanwhile, newspapers turned the enigma into a sensation. Writers embellished details, adding eerie twists and ghostly rumors. The idea of a ghost ship, adrift with sails full and cabins empty, captured the public imagination. The Mary Celeste became not just a legal case, but a legend of the sea, its mystery growing with every retelling. In the years following the discovery, theories about the Mary Celeste multiplied, each more dramatic than the last. Some sailors swore the ship had been cursed, doomed from the moment it set sail. Others claimed the crew had fallen victim to supernatural forces, spirited away by something lurking in the vast Atlantic. Ghost stories spread through taverns and ports, painting the Mary Celeste as a vessel haunted by the sea itself. More practical explanations also emerged. Some pointed to waterspouts, powerful tornado-like columns of water that could have drenched the deck, convincing the crew the ship was sinking. Others speculated about a sudden seaquake, shaking the vessel and sparking panic. Still others suggested that the crew, fearing an explosion from alcohol fumes, opened the hatches and abandoned ship in haste. But these ideas left gaps. The ship had been found in remarkably good condition, her cargo largely intact, her hull dry and seaworthy. For seasoned sailors, abandoning such a vessel made little sense. If they had left in the lifeboat, why had they not returned? The mystery only deepened as time passed. No sign of the lifeboat or crew was ever discovered, despite searches and speculation. The Atlantic had swallowed them whole, leaving behind only questions. The Mary Celeste continued to sail under new captains in the years that followed, but its reputation as a cursed ship clung to it. Sailors were reluctant to crew her, and each new voyage carried whispers of ill fate. What had happened in 1872 remained an open wound in maritime law, a puzzle no inquiry could solve. As decades passed, the story of the Mary Celeste took on a life of its own. Writers embellished the facts, turning mystery into legend. One of the most influential accounts came from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes, who in 1884 published a fictionalized story inspired by the ship. His tale, filled with murder and supernatural hints, captured the imagination of readers worldwide and forever cemented the Mary Celeste as a ghost ship in popular culture. While Doyle's version was fiction, many people mistook it for truth. Soon taverns and newspapers were filled with exaggerated details, claims of meals left half-eaten on tables, of crew vanishing mid-conversation, of logbooks ending mid-sentence. None of these were supported by the actual evidence, yet they added eerie layers to the mystery. Meanwhile, researchers tried to separate fact from myth. They revisited the Gibraltar inquiry, studying the ship's logs and physical condition. Most serious historians agreed that the likeliest explanation was a mistaken evacuation, perhaps due to fear of explosion from alcohol fumes or faulty instruments suggesting flooding. If the crew had tied the lifeboat to the Mary Celeste, rough seas could have snapped the rope, leaving them stranded as the ship drifted safely onward. Yet even the most logical explanations failed to satisfy. The simplicity of the facts, a ship found intact, crew vanished without a trace, was haunting enough to resist closure. The Atlantic kept its secret, and the Mary Celeste became less about answers and more about the enduring power of the unknown. Though the Mary Celeste returned to service after the inquiry, her reputation followed her like a shadow. Sailors whispered that she was cursed, a ship touched by misfortune. Crews were reluctant to serve on her, and owners struggled to make her profitable. Each voyage seemed dogged by bad luck, storms, delays, and accidents that only deepened her dark legend. The ship changed hands multiple times, passing from captain to captain, each hoping to shake her ill fame. But the whispers never stopped. To many, the mystery of 1872 was a stain that could never be washed away. Seamen muttered that a vessel once abandoned by her crew could never truly belong to the living again. By the 1880s, the Mary Celeste was nearing the end of her career. Weathered and worn, she was considered unfit for long voyages. In 1885, her final captain attempted to use her in a fraudulent insurance scheme. The plan was to deliberately wreck the ship and collect the payout, but it ended in failure. The Mary Celeste ran aground on a reef off the coast of Haiti and was irreparably damaged. There she was abandoned for the last time, left to rot under the tropical sun and waves. No crew would ever sail her again. The once proud merchant vessel, whose name had become synonymous with mystery, ended her life in ignominy, wrecked and forgotten on a distant shore, yet the legend outlived the ship itself. The Mary Celeste was no longer just a vessel, it was a story, a ghost ship whose name would echo across oceans and centuries. By the late 19th century, the Mary Celeste had become a legend far greater than the ship itself. Stories of her haunted decks spread across ports, told by sailors who had never laid eyes on her. She was said to carry the echoes of her vanished crew, with lanterns swinging in empty cabins and footsteps pacing her deserted deck on moonlit nights. Though these tales were born of imagination, they gave the mystery an otherworldly aura. Writers and journalists kept the enigma alive. Each retelling grew more dramatic. Meals left warm on tables, pipes still smouldering, logbooks ending mid-sentence. None of these details appeared in the original reports, but they were too irresistible for storytellers to ignore. Fiction blurred with fact, until the Mary Celeste was less a historical case and more a symbol of maritime mystery. The ship's story resonated because it embodied the fears of the sea itself. For sailors, the ocean was both a livelihood and a graveyard, vast and indifferent to human life. A crew disappearing without a trace was not just tragic, it was a nightmare made real. The Mary Celeste represented the fragility of order in the face of the unknown. Even scientists and historians who tried to provide rational explanations, alcohol fumes, storms, or human error, could not erase the aura of dread. The absence of final answers made the story more powerful. The Mary Celeste was no longer just a ship lost to the tides of history. She was a ghost ship in the truest sense, forever drifting between fact and legend. Today, the Mary Celeste remains one of the greatest mysteries of the sea. Historians, maritime experts, and adventurers still debate what happened on that fateful voyage in 1872. While most agree the crew likely abandoned ship in fear of an explosion or flooding, no theory has ever been proven. The absence of definitive evidence ensures that the story endures, suspended between logic and legend. The ship's wreck off Haiti has long since disappeared, claimed by waves and coral, yet her legacy thrives. Museums and documentaries revisit the case, and writers continue to weave tales inspired by the ghost ship. For many, the Mary Celeste is not just a historical puzzle, but a symbol of the ocean's vast, unfathomable power. Modern sailors sometimes invoke her name with a mixture of respect and unease. To them, the sea holds countless dangers, storms, accidents, misjudgments, but nothing is more terrifying than the unexplained. A ship adrift without its crew is the ultimate reminder of how quickly control can vanish on the open water. The Mary Celeste has become immortal, not because of what is known, but because of what is not. She drifts eternally in our imagination, sails full but decks empty, a ghost ship carrying a silence deeper than the sea itself. The unanswered fate of her crew ensures that she will never truly rest, forever haunting maritime history as a riddle without resolution. The mystery of the Mary Celeste has sailed through time, unsolved and unforgettable. Found adrift with her cargo intact and her crew vanished without a trace, she became the very definition of a ghost ship. More than a century later, no one knows what truly happened in 1872. Perhaps the greatest power of the sea lies not in its storms, but in its silence and in the secrets it refuses to surrender.